3 months ago, my brother had me dragged out of my apartment in handcuffs, claiming I was insane, just to steal my $150,000 settlement. But I was 2 steps ahead, and now he's in jail. But that's not even the worst part of what I did to him. I'm typing this at 2 a.m. in my new house in Portland, Oregon, with my settlement money still safely in the bank and my brother exactly where he belongs, behind bars. My hands are shaking, but not from fear anymore. From pure satisfaction. You want to know how I destroyed the person who tried to destroy me? Buckle up. It started with a car crash on Highway 99. Some drunk idiot slammed into my Honda while I was stopped at a red light. My car was totaled, my back was messed up for months, but the insurance company handed me a check for $150,000. A whopping $150,000. More money than I'd ever seen in my life. I'm Lisa Rodriguez, 35, freelance web designer living in Seattle. Nothing fancy, but I was making it work in my tiny 400-square-foot studio apartment. And my older brother Danny? He was my hero. Construction worker, married to Rebecca, 2 kids, and ever since I was discharged from hospital, he'd come by every Sunday with coffee and bagels to check on his baby sister. God, what a fool I was. The first red flag happened when I went to Danny's house to show them the settlement check. I was so excited I could barely sit still, babbling about maybe buying a small house, taking a real vacation. "That's incredible, Lisa," Danny said, but something in his voice was off, cold. "You know, with that kind of money, you really need to be smart about it." "I am being smart. I'm going to invest most of it." Danny and Rebecca exchanged a look that made my stomach drop like I was falling off a cliff. "Lisa, honey," Rebecca said in this sickeningly sweet voice, "you've never been great with money. Remember that photography equipment you bought and never used? Come on, that was years ago. Or when you quit Microsoft to freelance," Danny added. "Mom and Dad were so worried." My face burned. "I'm doing fine with freelancing." Danny actually laughed. "Lisa, you're 35 and live in a studio apartment. You don't even have a car. Because it got totaled. That's why I got the settlement." "Look," Danny said, leaning forward like he was talking to a child, "maybe you should let me handle the money stuff. I've got connections, people who can invest it properly." The way he said, "let me handle it," made bile rise in my throat. Why was he talking to me like I was mentally disabled? "Thanks, but I can handle my own money," I said, standing up fast enough to knock over my chair. "Nobody said you were stupid," Rebecca jumped in. "We just worry. You make impulsive decisions." I left that night feeling like garbage. But I thought it was over. I was so incredibly wrong. But I didn't know that Danny had already started making phone calls. To my clients. To my family. Planting seeds that would grow into the nightmare that almost destroyed me. Over the next few weeks, Danny called me every single day, sometimes twice, always the same lecture about my poor financial decisions and how I wasn't mature enough to handle that much money. "You're eating ramen for dinner, Lisa, living paycheck to paycheck. This could change your life if you're smart about it." I am being smart. "No, you're being stubborn, and stubbornness will make you poor again in 6 months. When I started avoiding his calls, he showed up at my apartment, sometimes with Rebecca, sometimes alone, always with the same condescending lecture. "We're worried about you," became his favorite phrase. "You're isolating yourself. That's not normal behavior." Was I acting weird? Was I actually being paranoid? Then I found out about the phone calls. "Hi, this is Danny Rodriguez, Lisa's brother. I wanted to give you a heads up that she's going through a rough patch right now. She might not be as reliable as usual." My biggest client, a law firm paying me $2,000 a month, called to check on my mental health. "Your brother seems really concerned," the office manager said. "He said you've been having some kind of breakdown?" I lost it, completely lost it. "My brother is lying!" I screamed into the phone. "I'm fine! I'm completely fine!" But screaming probably didn't help my case. Danny got really smart about it after that. He started bringing Rebecca to family dinners, and they worked together like some twisted tag team. Rebecca would mention how worried she was about my isolation, and Danny would nod sadly and talk about my financial paranoia. "We tried to help her set up an investment account," Rebecca would say, her voice dripping with fake concern. "But she got so angry. She accused us of trying to steal from her." "It's textbook paranoid behavior," Danny would add. "I've been reading about it online. People who come into sudden money sometimes develop delusions that everyone's trying to take it. Reading about it online? You lying piece of shit. Our family started looking at me differently, like I was fragile, broken. At my cousin's birthday party, people stopped talking when I walked into rooms. My Aunt Rosa started using that slow, careful voice people use with mental patients. "How are you feeling, mija?" she'd ask, tilting her head like I was a wounded animal. "Danny says you've been having a hard time." A hard time? A hard time? Every time I tried to defend myself, it just made me sound more paranoid. How do you explain that your own brother is orchestrating an elaborate scheme to have you declared mentally incompetent? How do you make that sound reasonable? But then I heard something that changed everything. And what Danny said next in that garage would give me the weapons I needed to destroy him. I was at Danny's house for a family barbecue, trying to act normal, when I heard voices coming from the garage. I was looking for the bathroom when I heard my name. "Get power of attorney while she's in treatment," Danny was saying. My blood turned to ice. I pressed myself against the wall and listened. "You sure this is going to work?" It was his buddy Kevin. "Trust me, I've been setting this up for weeks. Everyone already thinks she's losing it. Rebecca's been talking to her friends about how worried we are. I called her clients. I even talked to her landlord about her erratic behavior." "What if she fights it?" "She can't fight it if she's locked up. And once I have power of attorney, I can move the money before she gets out." I thought I was going to throw up, or pass out, or both. My own brother was plotting to steal my money. I started recording everything after that. Every phone call, every conversation, every text message. I kept my phone recording in my pocket whenever Danny was around. "You've been talking about hurting yourself," I recorded him telling Rebecca one night when they thought I was asleep. "Multiple people have heard you. Dr. Williams says that's grounds for an involuntary hold." Dr. Williams? Who the hell was Dr. Williams? The recordings were pure gold. Danny talking about phase 1 inch and phase 2. Text messages about getting emergency guardianship. Conversations about moving my money while I was safely locked away. But I didn't know that in 3 days, Danny would make his move. And I'd find myself screaming in a padded room, wondering if I'd ever see freedom again. I woke up to pounding on my door. Heavy, angry pounding that shook my entire apartment. "Seattle police! Open up!" My heart hammered against my ribs as I opened the door. 2 cops stood there, along with a woman in a social worker uniform. Behind them, Danny appeared like a demon from my nightmares, his face a perfect mask of fake concern. "Lisa Rodriguez?" "Yes?" "We have a wellness check request. Your brother Danny reported that you're a danger to yourself." This was it. This was really happening. "What? No, I'm fine. I'm completely fine." "Lisa, we're here to help you," Danny said, stepping forward. "You've been talking about hurting yourself. We're all worried." "I never said that." I screamed so loud my throat felt raw. "He's lying. He's trying to steal my money." The cops exchanged looks. The social worker scribbled on her clipboard. "Ma'am, you need to come with us," one officer said. "We have a 72-hour psychiatric hold order." "No, no, you don't understand. He's lying." I was sobbing, begging, clawing at anything I could reach. "Danny, please," I sobbed. "Please don't do this. I'm your sister." Danny actually had tears in his eyes. Big fake tears rolled down his face. "Lisa, I love you. This is for your own good." "You bastard. You absolute bastard." They put me in handcuffs. Actual handcuffs, like I was a criminal. My neighbors watched through their windows as they dragged me out screaming. The ride to Riverside Mental Hospital was the longest 20 minutes of my life. I was hyperventilating, crying, begging the officers to listen. "He's trying to steal my settlement money," I kept saying. "That's why he's doing this. Please, you have to believe me." "Ma'am, you need to calm down. Getting upset isn't helping your case." "My case? What case? I wasn't on trial." The intake process was humiliating. They stripped me, gave me a paper gown and paper slippers. A nurse asked if I wanted to hurt myself or others. "I don't want to hurt anyone. I just want to go home." "Your brother says you've been making threats." "I never made threats. He's lying." Every time I raised my voice, they wrote something down. Every time I cried, they wrote something down. Every time I insisted Danny was lying, they wrote something down. They thought I was crazy. They actually thought I was crazy. But I didn't know that my nightmare was just beginning. Because the first night in that white room would break me in ways I never imagined possible. The first night was hell on earth. They put me in a room with a woman named Janet who kept talking to invisible people. The walls were white. Everything was white. The fluorescent lights never turned off, buzzing like angry wasps. I couldn't sleep, couldn't eat, couldn't think straight. What if they never let me out? What if Danny gets my money and I spend the rest of my life in here? The other patients scared me more than anything. There was Tony, who'd been there for 6 months. His son had him committed to steal his disability checks. "They all think we're crazy," he whispered during lunch on my second day. "That's how the system works. Family says you're nuts. Doctors believe family. You're trapped." Was that my future? Would I become Tony in 6 months? There was Patricia, who'd been there for 2 years. Her daughter had her committed after she remarried at 68. The daughter wanted the inheritance. "I keep telling them I'm fine," Patricia would rock back and forth in the common room. "But every time I get upset about being here, they say it proves I'm not ready to leave." It was a catch-22. Act upset about being locked up? You're unstable. Act calm about being locked up? You're in denial. I started having panic attacks where I couldn't breathe and my heart felt like it would explode, which made me look even crazier. They put me on medication. Little white pills that made everything fuzzy. When I refused, they threatened to force me. "These will help with your anxiety and paranoia," the day nurse explained. "Dr. Peterson thinks they'll really help clear your thinking." "My thinking is already clear. I don't need pills. I need you to listen." But screaming just got me more pills. They were drugging me, actually drugging me to keep me quiet. By day 3, I was breaking apart. I hadn't slept more than 2 hours at a time. I was crying constantly. I was starting to wonder if maybe I really was losing my mind. What if I imagined everything? What if Danny really was trying to help me? But just when I thought I might lose my mind completely, a new doctor walked in. And she wasn't like the others. Dr. Patricia Vance was different. Older, maybe 50, with gray hair and sharp eyes that actually saw me as a person, not a mental patient. "Tell me why you think you're here, Lisa," she said during our first session. "My brother had me committed so he could steal my settlement money." "That's a serious accusation. Do you have any proof?" Proof. She wanted proof. "I have recordings," I said, "text messages, proof of everything." Most doctors would have dismissed this as delusional evidence. But Dr. Vance looked interested. "What kind of recordings?" I told her everything. Danny's calls to my clients, the garage conversation, the systematic campaign to make everyone think I was crazy. "I recorded him talking about getting power of attorney while I was locked up," I said. "Him telling Kevin about moving my money." Dr. Vance was quiet for a long time. "Lisa, I want to see these recordings." Finally, someone who would listen. But there was a problem. They'd taken my phone during intake. Dr. Vance had to fill out forms, get approvals, wait 24 hours just to access it. Those 24 hours felt like 24 years. What if the recordings were gone? What if Danny had deleted them? What if nobody would ever believe me? When Dr. Vance returned, her face was grim. "Lisa, I've listened to your recordings, read your texts, reviewed everything." My heart pounded. "And?" "Your brother appears to be attempting financial exploitation through false psychiatric claims." I started crying. Not sad crying, relief crying. "You believe me?" "I believe you, and I'm going to help you." Finally, someone was going to help me. Dr. Vance explained she'd seen this before. Siblings, adult children, spouses using psychiatric holds to steal money. It's called financial abuse through mental health systems. "Your brother made critical errors," she said. "He documented everything. He involved too many people, and he underestimated our investigation process." Dr. Vance contacted Adult Protective Services. She called my bank, where Danny had been calling repeatedly, claiming to be my caregiver. But the real bombshell came when she subpoenaed Danny's phone records. "Lisa, your brother has been planning this for months," she said, showing me printed texts, "coordinating with his wife, friends, even family members to build a case for your incompetency." One text to Rebecca. "Phase 1 complete. Everyone thinks she's unstable. Ready for Phase 2. Another to Kevin. "Lawyer says once she's committed, we have 72 hours for emergency guardianship. Settlement money gets frozen until I prove I'm acting in her best interests." I was going to be sick. Actually going to be sick. How long would he have gotten away with this? If you hadn't recorded him, probably permanently. Financial guardianship is extremely difficult to overturn. But Danny had no idea what was coming for him. Because while he thought he was winning, I was building the case that would destroy his entire life. I spent the next week working with Dr. Vance to build an airtight case. We contacted a lawyer specializing in financial exploitation, gathered evidence, documented every lie Danny had told. Meanwhile, Danny thought he was winning. He visited twice, playing the concerned brother perfectly. "Lisa, I'm so sorry you're going through this," he said, sitting across from me in the visiting room. "But maybe this is a wake-up call. When you get out, we should talk about getting you help managing your money." I wanted to reach across the table and strangle him. Instead, I played along. "You know what, Danny? You might be right." His eyes lit up like Christmas morning. "Really? I've been thinking about what you said, about how I'm not good with money. Maybe I do need help." "You piece of garbage. You absolute piece of garbage." That's great, Lisa. I'm so proud of you for being mature. "I think maybe I should sign power of attorney over to you," I said. "Just temporarily until I get back on my feet." Danny could barely contain his excitement. "That's probably a good idea. I'll bring the papers tomorrow." "Actually," I said, "I think I should do it right when I get out. Make it official." Sure, whatever makes you comfortable." "You have no idea what's coming for you, you greedy bastard." But Danny would never get the chance to bring those papers, because I had a very different surprise waiting for him. I was discharged from Riverside exactly 7 days after admission. Dr. Vance concluded I was completely competent and had been the victim of systematic manipulation and attempted financial exploitation. The security guard walked me to the lobby, where Danny waited with Rebecca and their lawyer. "Lisa!" Danny jumped up to hug me. "You look so much better." "I feel better," I said. "Ready to take care of business?" "Great! I brought the power of attorney papers. We can go to the bank right now and— Actually, Danny, I have some other business to take care of first." That's when the police officers walked into the lobby. "Daniel Rodriguez?" Danny's face went white as snow. "Yes?" "You're under arrest for attempted fraud, filing false police reports, and financial exploitation of a vulnerable adult." The look on his face. God, the look on his face. "What? No! There's been a mistake." "Danny Rodriguez, you have the right to remain silent." Rebecca started screaming. "What's happening? What's happening?" "Your husband tried to steal my settlement by having me falsely committed," I said, my voice steady as steel, "and I have recordings of him admitting it." The cops cuffed Danny right there in the hospital lobby. Other patients and families stared. Rebecca was crying and yelling. "Lisa, how could you do this?" Rebecca screamed. "He's your brother. He was trying to help." "He was trying to rob me," I said, "and you helped him." Sweet revenge tastes even better than I imagined, but that was just the beginning of Danny's downfall, because what happened next would destroy everything he'd ever worked for. The story exploded. Brother attempts to steal sister's settlement by having her falsely committed, ran on Kiro 7 that same night. Danny's mugshot was plastered across every news channel in Seattle. His construction company fired him immediately. Rebecca filed for divorce 3 days later, taking the kids to her parents while she figured out her next move. Danny was charged with fraud in the first degree, filing false police reports, and attempted financial exploitation. His lawyer said he was looking at 5 years in prison. He took a plea deal, 2 years in county jail, 5 years probation, and $50,000 in restitution, money he didn't have because Rebecca cleaned out their accounts before filing for divorce. The house in Bellevue he was so proud of? Rebecca got it in the divorce, sold it, and moved to California with the kids. But the best part, the absolute best part, was when the story went national. Danny became the poster child for financial exploitation through false psychiatric claims. His picture was on CNN, Fox News, MSNBC. Everyone in Seattle knew what he'd done. Friends, co-workers, neighbors, his kids' teachers, everyone. How's that for a reputation, Danny? But even that wasn't the end of my revenge, because the damage to Danny's life was just getting started. I moved to Portland and bought a beautiful craftsman house in the Hawthorne district. Started seeing a therapist who specializes in psychiatric hospitalization trauma. Turns out what I went through has a name: psychiatric abuse. The nightmare started a month after I got out. I'd wake up screaming, thinking I was back in that white room. Couldn't sleep with lights off for weeks. Loud noises made me jump. Unexpected visitors made me panic. I have PTSD from my own brother's betrayal. Dr. Martinez, my therapist, says it's normal. When someone weaponizes the mental health system against you, it creates unique trauma. You're dealing with betrayal and the fear it could happen again. I don't trust easily anymore. I document everything, record conversations, keep copies of every text, email, financial transaction. Maybe that makes me paranoid. Maybe that makes me crazy. I don't care. I became an advocate for exploitation victims. Dr. Vance connected me with a nonprofit helping families navigate these situations. I volunteer twice a week, helping people betrayed by their own family. You'd be surprised how often this happens. Brothers stealing from sisters, adult children exploiting elderly parents, spouses using psychiatric holds to control assets. Just last month, I helped Carol, whose son had her committed to sell her house. The month before, an elderly man whose daughter-in-law convinced everyone he had dementia to access his pension. The stories are always the same. Family wants money. Family plants mental health seeds. Family gets victim committed. Family takes control. The system trusts family members. If your brother says you're crazy, he's probably right and trying to help. Most people don't get as lucky as I did with Dr. Vance. Most people don't have recordings of their family plotting against them. Danny writes me letters from jail. Pathetic, whining letters about how sorry he is. His latest was 3 pages of self-pity. Dear Lisa, I know you hate me. I made a terrible mistake. I was drowning in debt and I panicked. Rebecca was talking about leaving. I thought if I could access some of your money temporarily, I could fix everything and pay you back with interest. Temporarily? Temporarily? I never meant for you to stay in the hospital long. Just long enough to get power of attorney and move the money. I was going to tell doctors you were better in a few days. I swear I wasn't going to keep your money forever. A few days? A few days? I was there for a week, you psychopath. The ending was the worst. I know what I did was wrong, but I'm still your brother. I still love you. Deep down, I know you still love me too. Family is family, Lisa. We can get through this. I threw that letter so hard it bounced off the wall. Family is family? Family is family? Family doesn't have you committed to steal your money. Family doesn't destroy your reputation. Family doesn't make you think you're insane. Danny isn't my family. He's just a criminal who shares my DNA. I save all his letters, though. My lawyer says they might be useful if Danny tries to appeal or get early parole. Every self-pitying word is more evidence of his guilt. Keep writing, Danny. Keep digging your own grave. The $150,000 settlement sits in my investment account, growing every month. I bought my house, a beautiful Craftsman with a garden and front porch. Part went to therapy and PTSD treatment. Part I donated to the exploitation nonprofit. But most sits there, earning interest, completely safe from Danny's greedy hands. Danny will never see a penny. Not when he gets out, not if he begs, not if he's dying. That money represents my freedom, my security, my proof I can take care of myself. It's mine. It was always mine. It always will be mine. I sleep well in my Portland house. I have a successful web design business, real friends who support me, and a brother exactly where he belongs, behind bars. Turns out I'm pretty good at managing my own life after all. But sometimes, lying in bed at night, I still hear those handcuffs clicking, still see the white walls, still feel the panic of thinking I might never get out. Danny didn't just try to steal my money. He tried to steal my freedom, my sanity, my entire life. That's what I can't forgive. The money was just money. But the terror of being locked up, told I was crazy, thinking I might spend my life in a mental hospital, that's something I'll carry forever. The nightmares are getting better. Panic attacks less frequent. But I'll never be the same person I was before Danny betrayed me. And maybe that's okay. Maybe being harder, more careful, less trusting. Maybe that's what it takes to survive when your own brother will destroy you for money. I'm typing this at 2 a.m. because I couldn't sleep. Not from nightmares this time. Because I wanted to finish this story. I wanted people to know what Danny did. I wanted people to understand that financial exploitation is real, happens to anyone, and sometimes the people who hurt you most are supposed to love you. But I also wanted people to know you can fight back. You can win. You can get justice. It just takes patience, planning, and really good recordings of your family plotting against you. I volunteer at that nonprofit because the Tonys and Patricias of the world deserve someone who believes them, someone who will fight for them when their own family destroys them. Someone needs to speak for people who can't speak for themselves. Danny thought he was smarter than me, thought I was weak, stupid, easy to manipulate. He was wrong on all counts. The system failed me initially, my family failed me, the police failed me, the hospital staff failed me, but I didn't fail myself, and in the end, that's what mattered. I have PTSD from my brother's betrayal. I document everything obsessively. I don't trust easily. I sleep with lights on sometimes, but I'm free. I'm safe. I have my money. And Danny's in jail. I became an advocate, a survivor, a voice for the voiceless. I turned my trauma into purpose, my pain into power. And Danny? Danny became exactly what he deserved to become. A cautionary tale about greed, family betrayal, and what happens when you underestimate the person you're trying to destroy. I'm Lisa Rodriguez. I'm 35 years old. I live in Portland, Oregon. I have $150,000 in the bank and a brother in jail. And I'm not crazy. I never was. The recordings proved it. Dr. Vance believed it. The court confirmed it. The news reported it. But most importantly, I know it. And that's all that really matters. Danny's letters keep coming. I keep throwing them away. Some bridges, once burned, should stay burned forever. The settlement money keeps growing. My business keeps thriving. My life keeps getting better. And every morning when I wake up in my own house, in my own bed, free to make my own choices with my own money, I remember something important. I won. Danny lost. Justice was served. And that's the best revenge of all.